Oh, hello, all my wonderful, beautiful broskis and broskies of the wonderful, beautiful Maverick Nation. I am the one, the only, the dark, the shadow, the Maverick, the dark shadow Maverick. And welcome here to What If He's Good, the Carnage Symbiote, Part 7. Oh yeah, we are getting so close to my favorite number. Well, seeing as last time we basically covered the Camino Ward and all that, jizz. Well, safe to say that since everyone's already in their third year, it's not all that much concern with like internships or how like relevant it is to the situation. They would still be with Sir Night-Eye and Mirio and everything, and the overhaul raid would still happen like the base of the Yakuza, the raid of the Yakuza base. However, this Izuku going with Sir Night-Eye and Mirio, well, they're basically going to have to deal with all sorts of different, shit. However, Izuku and Sir Night-Eye and Mirio do end up prevailing. That is until they see where Eri is. Overhaul has her. Kaijisaki has her in his grasp. Izuku, gritting his teeth, he's thinking, if only I had been faster. And Sir Night-Eye could see this look inside of Izuku, telling him not to blame himself for this misfortune that has fallen upon them. Because honestly, they know by now what Overhaul's quirk is, what it does, and what basically he's threatening to do to Eri if they get too much closer. Without him even having to say it. And this just brings Overhaul so much damn joy. However, from behind the scenes, what's left of the League of Villains, with Shigaraki as its new leader, they are watching behind the scenes. Shigaraki, Dabi, and Mr. Compress. With Mr. Compress and Dabi pretty much on the sidelines. Dabi have barely escaped the grasp of Izuku last time they met up, and that basically means that Dabi's not going to try to go after Izuku anytime soon, or try to get separated in the same, space with him. He doesn't want any of what he got back in the forest training arc. And Mr. Compress, well, yes, Atsuhiro Seiko himself, Mr. Compress. Well, let's just say that kind of kills the mood of your good day whenever all of a sudden it's ruined by her hands being ruined. Hero providing a good distraction, overall thinking he's on top of the world. That is until Shigaraki sneaks up behind him after, there's been some intense stare downs from Izuku inside the leaner Carnage suit form. Basically the equivalent to his hero outfit. And, Chisaki. Basically a stare down in between the two of them. After a couple rounds of that, and some serious shade being thrown in both directions by both parties, Shigaraki just takes full advantage of this big old distraction. Hero also helps create an even bigger one in the midst of an already big enough distraction. And this allowing for Shigaraki to basically remove, his freaking quirk from him by disintegrating his hands, decaying them into nothing. However, Shigaraki, if he thinks he's going to get off that easily, he's sorely mistaken. As several tendrils are then swung at Shigaraki as he's basically forced to make a break for it, with Kirigiri already having a portal ready for him, Mr. Compress, and Dabi, with these tendril blades swinging at all three of them from Izuku. However, Izuku's basically reached his limit of how much, of his presence he could exert during that old big stare down with All For One, in which when we're in the middle of it, Mirio did indeed get shot with a quirk-erasing bullet. He no longer has the permeation quirk. Basically, Mirio still loses his quirk, but it's permanent losing of it. And Izuku's still trying to swing around with his tendril blades. And while Shigaraki, Mr. Compress, and Dabi are doing a pretty good job at dodging, all except for one time whenever, they're near the portal. However, Shigaraki makes a little bit of a miscalculation and a little bit of a jump that he was planning on doing. He makes a little bit of a miscalculation, causing him to basically get caught up in one of the blades after barely stopping himself from falling on his face. You may ask which part got caught up in the blade. Well, one of his arms. And basically, Izuku decides that he's had enough of this bullshit, and so he ripped Shigaraki's arm off of him and then threw his spine all the way over to him and eats the arm whole, with stomach acids dissolving the arm before the quirk You know, if it is actually still possibly active somehow, could actually decay away any part of him. And besides, if anything is decayed, he can just get it regened by Carnage. There was some small, like, minor internal damage done, but like I said, Carnage can fix it up pretty damn good. And if you're wondering where Shoto is in all this, well, basically, Izuku shot him a text one time, basically telling him what he was going to be doing, and that he wanted him to keep an eye on Shinso, because Shinso, like discussed in the previous part, wasn't feeling too good. You know, triple replication will kind of do that to you. And so that's why Shoto is not around. Because Shoto is now, well, basically tending to Shinso as his parents are off doing God knows what. Shinso kind of freaking out because, you know, the seeds are gone. Then I'm trying to calm him down, being like, basically, like, Shoto and Venom and even Agony, because if any of you guys forgot, Shoto's symbiote is Agony. Yes, he does have one. And it's Agony. Basically, both Agony and Venom trying to calm Shinso down and, like, find good reasoning behind this. Like what the hell happened? Well, basically, after the whole overhaul thing is done, with the League of Villains barely getting away with their lives, and Shigaraki having lost an arm and currently bleeding out at the moment. However, Kirige was able to get them through the other side of the portal. Basically, yeah. Shigaraki would be pissed. He just got his arm hacked off and then shoved through him all the way to the other side of his spine. So he couldn't even walk, even if he wasn't bleeding out. Because he just got ripped through with his own arm. Well, the quirk was still semi-active. And, well, yeah, that's a thing. That's a thing. Basically, after everyone returns from the big raid of the Yakuza base, Izuku is basically like, oh, you wanted to know where the symbiote seeds were? Bakugo, I basically received a message from Bakugo while we were on our way to the Yakuza base about our recent development. Well, technically 3 recent developments. Apparently, while in the Camino Ward, he bonded with a symbiote that called itself Scream and said that it, along with 2 others, were also spawned from Venom. Apparently, the 2 others are Slasher and Phage. And apparently, due to some improvements and figuring out about some troubles that were in this person's past, Mona was trusted with Slasher, and after figuring out that there were actually some family connections in between Monoma and Mineta, Mineta was gifted Phage. And now all three of them have symbiotes. And like Bakugo's possibly thinking that the three of them should, ask to join us. So, about that. Uh, oh boy. And well, basically, everyone getting back to their lives of normalcy, or, well, I guess you could say subnormalcy, seeing as, well, aliens constantly being around you, it's not really a life of normalcy. However, another development to take note of, that Shoto would be receiving calls about himself. Basically, Izuku telling him something great. He's actually found someone who's been able to fill the hole in his heart. However, the age gap would normally seem like something that would be off-putting, that is, unless they already knew ahead of time that Izuku liked older women. Technically, Izuku didn't really know if he liked older women or younger women, but he didn't really seem to care on the matter of that. But Shoto was just like, get to the point already. What do you mean by older woman? And Izuku's just like, well, I'm like gonna turn 16, and currently she's like 22. And well, Shoto does realize that Izuku's not wrong. Him and, Izuku will be, basically the two of them will be turning 16 soon. In fact, Izuku's birthday, October 10th. It's coming up. Actually, no, that I'm thinking of Naruto. Shit. I guess I can just make up Izuku's birthday, the day he was actually born. Well, let's say on Christmas. Let's just pull that BS. Let's just say, like, it's coming up soon, so I guess that he will indeed be turning 16, and, seeing as their birthdays aren't too far apart, eventually Shoto will be turning 16 as well. But it still doesn't exactly explain the part about older woman. And 22, hello? Izuku's just like, seems you haven't actually caught on to who it is yet. I'm actually starting to think you might be done playing charades with me. And Shoto's like, wait, what? And Izuku's like, okay, enough with the guessing games. I guess I'll just tell you. Or maybe she can. And then Izuku just puts you on the phone. However, Shoto, seeing as, they aren't the ones that are, having happy fun times together. Seeing as, Shoto wasn't the one having happy fun times with you, he doesn't know her by that. He knows her by Mount Lady. However, she's not dressed in her hero costume. She's currently dressed in her casual wear. Yes, she's being casual around Izuku. And Izuku's just like, yeah, I'm basically boyfriend girlfriend material with Pro Hero. And Shoto's just like, what is Dad going to think about this? Like, what the frick? And Endeavor's just like behind Shoto and is like, what is Dad going to think about what? And Shoto basically just blatantly out and tells him. Like, he just looks at Izuku with one eye while he's doing this, and looks at his dad with the other eye while he's doing this. So basically looking at them both, Izuku like not even trying to prevent him from saying it, because Izuku knows that it's going to happen eventually. So it's like, why even bother? So like, just like, Izuku is a happy fun times with a pro hero. And Endeavor's like, huh? And Shoto's like, don't worry, Dad. She's only like 22, and plus Izuku's gonna turn 16 soon, so it's not too big of a gap. And plus, this might actually prove whether or not Izuku's actually into older women or not. It's like a field of research and science. The science of my adopted brother's preferences on women. And Endeavor's just like, older by how much? And Shoto's just like, she's 22, Izuku's going to turn 16 soon, and he'll probably want to have her over for Christmas or some shit. Either that, or she'll invite us over for Christmas at her house, like some sort of either before or after party. And there might actually, possibly be mistletoe involved. Probably just depends on how deep in the relationship they're in. He's actually, first and last name basis with her, and her the same with him. And Endeavor's like, and that first name is... And Shoto not being stupid, not thinking that he's thinking, Izuku, he knows he's talking about the girl. It's like, first name's Yu, second name Takayama, apparently. And Endeavor's just like, Mountain Lady. My son is into Mountain Lady. And she might even want us to come over for freaking Christmas. I guess it would indeed be nice to know if it's a before party or an after party thing. And seeing as she's even thought of it at all, we should invite her over as well. Never just keep calm. It's not the end of the world. It's just... God damn it, my adopted son is growing up so fast. And Shoto's just like, there, father, there. Like you said, it's not the end of the world. And Endeavor's just like, but it sure feels that way. I feel old. Like, really fucking old. Shoto, what is life anymore? And Shoto's just like, you do remember you're the #1 pro hero, right? Symbol of peace. Kinda gotta keep a level head in order to make people not, worried. So that society can still be in bliss. They say ignorance is bliss, but I don't think you're stupid. And Endeavor's just like, thank you, Shoto. Thanks for the compliment, I guess. Anyways, I guess after party or before party or whatever party, that doesn't matter. Just need to know. Because if you's coming over to our house for Christmas, we need to know if it's Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. And Shoto's just like, hey, Dad, she'd probably want to spend Christmas Day with her family. Because I'm sure she has one. And Edward's like, oh, yeah, that is probably right, Shoto. How silly of me. So, Christmas Eve it is. And what do you know? Well, let's just say, the closer and closer it gets to good old Christmas time, the closer and closer Izuku and you get closer to each other. To the point to which it actually gets quite spicy. Quite say, very spicy. And considering that this will be the basic cornerstone of the new year, and the rest should be smooth sailing, as long as nothing like involving the Meta Liberation Army gets involved. But yeah, we know the League of Villains Shigaraki deals with that. So, that shouldn't be a problem. Ugh. And plus, League of Villains have Gigantomachia. Silly me, I actually thought that Redestro had Gigantomachia. Apparently, All For One is Gigantomachia's master. But All For One's dead, so Shigaraki, even though he only has one arm, he's still the boss now. The numero uno boss of the entire League of Villains, including Gigantomachia. Which basically over the time of the entire basic last year of school, towards the end of it, towards the last few days of school, there is accounts of a ginormous villain appearing and wanting to know where Izuku Midoriya is. And well, basically, the ginormous villain being Gigantomachia. And, Shigaraki would have basically told him to look and ask around for Izuku. Also the one who known as Carnage. And, well, this would actually kind of peeve Izuku a lot. Because basically he's being hunted now. Hunted down by, basically, all things considered, Izuku feels Shigaraki to be a sore loser if he's gonna pull this shit. Besides, he disarmed Overhaul, so you should be happy enough that at least he's not dead. He only lost an arm. And as we all know from red-haired Shanks himself, it's just an arm. Damn it, One Piece. Basically, eventually shit that gets the fan, like, real bad. When all of a sudden, basically, one day, not too long after school's done and over with, basically, last day of school, last day of Hero School, now all they have to do is, like, wait for the Hero Association to send in their, not just provisional license, but actual hero license. Before it was just a provisional license, but now all Izuku has to do, seeing as he's graduated, is wait to get his actual legit license. Well, basically everyone else will have gotten their legit license, seeing as they've done swimmingly, like, over the time it took for this to all happen. But while Izuku is walking around, he gets a buzz, he gets a little bit of a ring, ring, ring from the inside of his pocket, and when he pulls out of his pocket, his cell phone. And the contacts that he reads, it's a call from you. Izuku, wondering what the hell, why is she calling? Like, at such a random time. So, basically, Izuku does his best to answer as fast as possible. But, the thing is, whenever he, answers it, he hears nothing but the sound of, scruffy, like, laughter. And a sound of grunting. Female grunting, almost as if someone's being squeezed and they're trying to pry themselves free. And this gruff laughter turns vile and to a form of disdain. Not stain, disdain. Anyways, Izuku knows that voice. It's you. And she's being attacked. Izuku's spidey sense is telling him that much. Izuku hangs up the phone, figuring that Mount Lady must have been able to wiggle herself enough free to reach for her phone and basically speed dial the hell out of him. And so glad he answered whenever he did. He basically just blitzes it. He was going towards his house. Well, he was going to go towards his house and then, check up on you later on in the day. But now he has to do this. And Izuku, preparing for the worst of whatever possibly happened, him just being out here by himself, he gets out his provisional license so that nothing gets too messy until he wants it to get messy. but his kind of messy. The messy he likey. He and Carnage both likey. It was gonna be a kind of messy, that, they say whenever they say, paint the town red. He was going to paint something red with the blood of whatever monster was hurting his precious, his dearly beloved. He would not let what happened with Stain and Toga happen to his beloved Yu Takayama. He would not let that happen again. And so he blitzed the frick out of there, like white flame sonic boom style. And automatically he came up upon basically Yu's apartment. Sure, it looks like the kind of apartment Donald Trump would, describe as a freaking apartment, which is basically mini mansion. But, well, she's a pro hero. What do you expect? May not be the most famous one, but she's definitely up there. She's relevant. So, why not have it be Donald Trump's version of an apartment basically being a freaking mini mansion? Be her house. And while Izuku, having been in and outside of Yu's house, God knows how many times after everything, the whole thing with overhaul and all that shit. So, after being in Yu's house, in and out of Yu's house for God knows how many times, he sure as hell knows his way to navigate, even without having to use his spidey sense. He's basically Navigationalist 101 all around this entire place. Like inside, outside, up, down, all around. He knows Yu's freaking house. And so, basically, he's able to, in Mach 0.2 seconds, find Yu and find the thing attacking her. Gigantomachia. Yeah, somebody be looking to lose another arm. Considering that Gigantomachia still dumb enough to literally say that Shigaraki sent him here. Literally, probably without even knowing it, ratting out his boss to the wolves. Basically, by doing that. I mean, now that Izuku knows, you best, you be damned to not know how Izuku will be feeling right now. And even Carnage, both of them, just like before, whenever they got angry, their skin would boil, to a point where it meshed with the symbiote. But this time, it's not just boiling, it is flame broiling off of the map. Izuku is going cuckoo, 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 and reserving himself completely to the madness of the situation. Becoming what he saw in the mirror image, that one reflection, that one time he went by that broken mirror. Yes, going absolute carnage. And by doing this, basically making it you could just poke Gigantomachia and he would just insta-kill. But no, As absolute carnage, Izuku is going to make Gigantomachia's last moments a living hell on Earth. And if you thought that he wasn't going to do that, dude, just. And if you thought like the hell on earth shit with Gigantomachia, what he's getting right now, wait till Shigaraki gets what he's gonna get. No level of anything is gonna be able to save that man. Not Davi, not Mr. Compress, not nobody. Not even freaking, like, Hirogiri could save that damn man. He has basically just signed his own death warrant by going after Izuku's newest lady love, Yu Takeyama, aka Mount Lady. And basically, you've never seen this side of Izuku before, and well, Izuku, after basically just whipping Gigantomachia all the shit, like just making him his whipping ball, and like bam, bam, like just screwing him over all sorts of motorboatish. After doing all that, he would revert all the way back to his human form, just to let you know that it's still him under there. He's still him. Because the sight of Yu's face, what she looked like, the fear in her eyes, seeing Izuku becoming absolute carnage and causing absolute carnage upon the being known as Gigantomachia. Yeah. You is terrified. But Izuku's able to soothe her with a serenade of softness, and even wrap her around Carnage. Excuse me. Wrap her around Carnage, like basically wrap Carnage around her like little Moses in a little blanket, being sent off in the basket through the river. Basically, he would actually be singing a little bit of a lullaby to you to calm her nerves down enough to actually get her to sleep. And after she had finally fallen asleep, Izuku decided, revenge mission time! And so, not just a few seconds after kicking Gigantomachia's ass, he shows up at the freaking front door of the new League of Villains base. And busts it down without saying a word. And if you think he's gonna go all weak sauce, no. Every single last person in that building who is not him is going to die. End of story. No takesies backsies. Even Toya, doesn't matter if he's a Todoroki or not, doesn't matter. Everyone in that building that is not him is going to die. And even, with Shigaraki's like basically all the way up at the top, thinking, why isn't Gigantomachia back yet? Like that little kid's head. So it has a own little comedic twist and irony. Izuku shows up with Gigantomachia's head on a platter. But he killed him like bird style, like eyeballs freaking missing. And not only that, but he like took his teeth too. Like, there's nothing, it's just like a gaping hole of dark, black, night sky abyss. He just rotted away that man. What do you expect? It's absolute freaking carnage. And Izuku's just like, he's done playing games, so he just like discards it, throws that, and basically just pendant stares Shigaraki into a state of like helplessness, knowing that he is definitely screwed beyond the definition of the word. Yeah, dude is barely just healed from his arm injury, like just like losing it. So yeah, that's the thing. However, and the way this happens is a way like none other. Because in the way this happens is let's just say Izuku decides to pull Izuku and Carnage, they decide to pull a little bit of a Super Boo upon being transformed into Super Boo. Basically what he did to that one guy with the hat. Yes, basically, he invades the inside, like just opens Shigaraki and invades his insides. And then decides to play musical chairs with Shigaraki's everything. Just be relentless. Like, treat his entire, like, nervous system like crash test dummies. Just like, literally, use like Shigaraki's entire everything as just his own little playground to torture Shigaraki and like have him just like melt away physically and mentally and emotionally, just like fold underneath the agony and writhing pain, like seething, just distraught, like despair, until Shigaraki is no more. He just like what happened with Gigantomachia's head, he is a nothing husk. And Izuku just decides to pull Carnage and slither out of the empty carcass that used to be Shigaraki, licking his lips. Yes! Izuku, as Carnage, vored Shigaraki from the inside out, basically. After having his happy fun times of all the times he's ever had, ever, with his freaking insides, he just vored him from the inside out, slowly and painfully, beyond what anyone could ever possibly, like, mentally conceive. Unless they themselves were crazy. Yeah. And Izuku, he just goes out the building, like, walking out, and while he's doing this, he's, like, just whistling a tune, like, do 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 do. Actually, I want to think of an iconic tune that Izuku would whistle. Oh, this is going to be really messed up what I'm about to do right here. Izuku coming out of the elevator to the final floor and just walking out through the first hallway and going towards the outside door. It would just be oh God, forgive me. God, wherever you are, if you indeed do exist, please forgive me for my sins. Trying to think of a song. I was going to do like a the pure imagination song from Willy Wonka, but I can't remember how it goes for me to do it myself. So instead, probably do like something like the Candyman can, because I want to do a Willy Wonka song. It's like doo doo doo. No, 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 no. Oh, I'm gonna do the ultimate on sinning on everyone's childhood. Like, a sin upon all of your childhoods. Basically, as he'd be going, I'd be like, doo, 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 doo. Do 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 do. If you don't know what that was my me trying to do a little tune to the song "Somewhere Over the Rainbow" from The Wizard of Oz. Yes, I know I'm evil. Yes, basically, he just murdered everybody, and he is waltzing out to the tune of Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Good God. And considering just how timeless and classic and, you know, kids stuff that film is, good God. Good God. That's not an image anyone ever should have to see. And for added extra horror factor, on some of the notes that he's doing, he actually mixes his voice up with the Carnage voice. He gets like so enthralled with the insanity of the moment. Just to creep you guys extra more out. Literally somewhere over the rainbow, Carnage rendition. Oh boy! Oh boy, that is so many different flavors wrong. They all just turn into your salty tears. More, please. Oh, I'm just a little gremlin. Anyways, whenever Izuku finally does get back to, Yu's place, he, seeing as Yu's still nighty night, he decides to use her shower just to get all the damn blood off and put his clothes in the washer just to wash the blood out of them. And tell me, what's the bloodiest you think he possibly got? I think, like, as another reference to Willy Wonka, you know the chocolate river? Yeah, that's basically how bloody Izuku got. If instead of chocolate, it was blood. It's like the TFS abridged, like, with the two ogres. Freaking, they made a horrible mess of the blood fountain. And look, oh, it doesn't look all that bad to me. And it's like, it used to be water. It's basically that bad. That's how bloody he got. And basically, Izuku does all of his, you know, necessities before actually getting out of the bathroom. And he looks brand new. And seeing as Izuku just got rid of, well, basically, upon Shigaraki's basic like first action as becoming leader was to get rid of the Metal Liberation Army, so they're not a threat because they no longer exist. Because that was like the first order of business. Get rid of these mofos that call themselves the Metal Liberation Army. Just get rid of them, like get them off the map, out of this house. Power of Crest compels you. Excelsior, motherfudger. Get the frick out of here. Out of this house. I'm Excelsior Thine Dynamics. That usually does something. But you get the drift. They're not around, so they can't cause any problems. So, yeah, it's pretty much smooth sailing. Or at least that's what you would think. Because, well, basically, once Izuku's whole third year thing actually did come to pass, 3 years really making like 16 and 17, then 18. Well, let's look at this 15, 16, 17, all the way up to 18, basically, yeah. So, yeah, basically, Izuku's 18, and use whatever age she would be, considering like 22 in the anime, and Izuku's 15 in the anime. So, apply whatever math to that. Okay, fine, I'll do it. 18, 22. I'll just get the calculator app out. Oh my. Ah, it was not anything that had to do with Izuku's birthday. Apparently, I'm just stupid. All I had to do was add 3 years on the Mount Lady years, and I would have gotten her age at the time. Well, basically, we know from Izuku being 15 at the start, so 3 years would have gone by. 5 plus 3 is 8, and 1 there makes it 18. So, basically, Izuku's 18, and basically, my lady being 22 at the start, add 3 to the 22, 2 plus 3 is 5, and then add the 2, so 25. Well, 18 and 25. At least they're, older, so this isn't as weird. Or as cringe. Basically, yeah, with like the 3 years gone by, they would have indeed gotten older, and so this would not be nearly as cringe. Izuku, by now, would have only, he would have, honestly, actually gotten his hero license, and all of his other friends would have gotten their hero licenses. We got Izuku, we got Shinso, we got Shoto, and then we got Bakugo, Monoma, and Mineta. Yes, that is a total of 6. Well, Pussycats were like 4 people. But, this is like a group of 6. So it's like double the Wild Wild Pussycats. Not really double, but close to double, I guess. Maybe. I don't know. I've never really been good at math. So, yeah, that's a thing. So basically, yeah. 3 years has passed. And, well, the hero team, Team Symbiosis, has been formed and it's been around for a while. Not too long, but they are definitely getting off the ground a lot faster than how fast the Wild Wild Pussycats got off the ground whenever they started. That's definitely for sure. That's something that people have been noticing. These guys are really good at getting off the ground with, how much people just, get into it. Get into their whole thing. There's actual merch of Team Symbiosis. Yes, Team Symbiosis merch. Why is this? Because basically, by the time Team Symbiosis is formed, Endeavor decides basically that now that not only does Izuku have his own hero license, that isn't just a provisional one, and so is the same with Shoto, that he needs to make room for the next generation of heroes. And that will indeed be within his 2 sons. His 2 most prized, things in the world to him. his adopted son, and his, blood son. They are like the two most prized things in the world to him, and they have done so much good for the world. Endeavor just thinks that instead of just having one hero have the #1 title, basically have like the team that they're gonna make be like the #1 hero team. Basically, like have all the heroes. Izuku is like, that's nice and all, but we need to be more realistic. Basically, seeing as Izuku is the strongest and everyone is like freely able to admit that, there's no shame in admitting it if it's true, and it is. So basically, yeah, there's that. So honestly, he would be the #1 hero out of all of them. And being the #1 hero means he'd be the symbol of peace. And basically, underneath him, going up and then down, in level of skill with their symbiote, would basically dictate their number. So, like, #2 would honestly be the second. What the hell was that? The second person to get symbiote. Basically, that's what you would think, but Shoto has done a lot of catching up with Izuku, so they're actually, neck and neck in, some aspects. So basically, Shoto would be the #2 hero. Plus, he has fire and never had fire whenever he was the #2 hero. Whenever he was the #1 hero, still has fire now. Basically, Shoto basically knows that he's the #2 hero, and Izuku's the #1 hero. And the next person being Shinso. He is the #3 hero. And the next person after that being Bakugo. He's the #4 hero. The #5 hero being Monoma. And the #6 hero being Mineta. Because that's basically in order of how things happened in, throughout the course of Izuku's entire journey towards becoming a hero. So, they basically have their own rankings in, the entire hero system, and, well, that goes with them along into their, job, working at that agency. And boy, is it a hell of an agency. Whenever your agency has a #1 hero in it, basically, yeah. And all the top heroes in it, yeah, you're gonna be a pretty well-known agency. Hero agency, And not only that, but considering how everything's been going, Izuku basically, he does end up being like, things are nice and all. Izuku would, save the money to get himself a house, but then he remembers he has his lady love, and she might not exactly want to move. And, her house is balling anyways. She already gets enough money to support herself in that house. Izuku figures it would be a good idea, seeing as they're already heavily in love, to just live with her in her house. He doesn't seem to, care. He's still the #1 hero. It's not like she's taking any dignity from him by technically being the one who owns the house. He's still the #1 hero, so it's not like there's any dignity lost. It's not exactly like Izuku cares about all that stuff either. Izuku's just glad to not only finally have accomplished his dream, but to be with his lady love. Things didn't work out with Toga, and look what happened with her. But now, Izuku is happy. And not too long after, basically the two of them deciding that basically they were going to share the master bedroom, and basically cementing it completely that Izuku was going to live there. And, Endeavor, like, if you guys could actually picture the most, like, kawaii Endeavor, like, having his heart shattered by, like, having one of his sons just go off and, like, they grow up so fast, like one of those type of they grow up so fast kind of moments. And, Shoto having to be like, there, Dad, there. And, well, yeah. Basically, if you guys wondering if Shoto has himself, a girlfriend, did you guys forget what I said the ship for Shoto was in this series? Momo! And she didn't end up dead because of some hero killer, so she's still in there. Yes. And, Momo ended up becoming like their, phone person. Like what I said in the previous part, like, we got one! Like that type of person, like the secretary type. Basically, she wanted to contribute something to the agency that her, boyfriend works at as the #2 freaking hero. She is, proud of her boy. She is proud of her mans. So, what better way to show it than to, make it so that she can, well, show her appreciation. And, help the entirety of the team, basically. I mean, Momo may not exactly be a hero, but, she's still filling off a very purposeful job, like a purpose-filled job, whenever you consider the role the telephone person, I'm just gonna call it telephone person, the telephone person plays and everything. Not a lot of stuff would get done if there wasn't a telephone person. So Momo being there as a telephone person actually is a very self-fulfilling goodness deep down in there. However, that is not where this ends. No, I at least want to get it to like a part 8. I'm going to end this part off here with something of a mind blower. A mind blower of a cliffhanger. Basically, Venom isn't the only symbiote that can have offspring. All symbiote have asexual reproduction potential. It's even shown with Carnage. And I actually was shocked to find a while back that Toxin is apparently not the only offspring of Carnage. There is another. So, yeah, imagine my surprise whenever I figured that out. And with that being said, and the whole asexual reproduction thing, you'd think that there wouldn't be any bedtime sparring of the like if it's asexual reproduction. Well, basically, there is the bedtime sparring, a hell of a lot of it actually, and they do it oh so good. Smooth AF up in this biatch. So smooth, in fact, that it actually acts the way of normal human reproduction because of a little method I like to call the seahorse method. The seahorse method. Now, for basically the reverse seahorse method, because the seahorse, the two seahorses, the male seahorse and the female seahorse, they do the dance that basically switches who has the baby whenever they connect, like the little dance that they do. With this, Izuku is a male who the offspring would spawn off from, yet, however, the action of sexual intercourse will switch the children over to Mount Lady so that they would basically replace whatever, fertilized egg thing basically would be replaced with the already forming symbiote. But also have that element, because of the egg being there in the first place, basically not really replacing the egg, but kind of fusing the two together. The symbiote seed and the egg kind of fusing together to make something very different. Because, with symbiotes, it's usually asexual reproduction, but with the way that Izuku, basically, he didn't even know this, but the reason why he had been getting so damn clingy and protective over you, well, it's not just because he loves her. It's because, well, maternal instincts. And the maternal instincts are kicking in because Izuku is kind of like non-self-consciously replicating. I don't even know what the frick I just said there. But like some form of replication that Izuku is not aware of directly, like he's not directly aware of it, but it is happening over time. However, whenever the sexual intercourse happens, it causes the seed to interact with the inside of Mount Lady, and the egg is already there, because you have eggs that are fertile, eggs that are non-fertile. So basically the difference in between if you can have a baby, if you can't have a baby. So yeah, basically the symbiote seed fusing with the egg, like Mount Lady's egg, fusing with Izuku's symbiote seed, basically creating a whole different type of birth process of, conceiving the child. Like, it acts like normal, human, reproduction, but the child themselves, because of the symbiote element, will already have their own symbiote the moment they are born. that they have already become bonded to. Because this is not lone symbiote replication in order to reproduce. This was aided by a human version of reproduction, which is not asexual and works differently. She works differently than symbiote reproduction methods. But whenever you mix the two, basically you have yourself a kid that already has their own symbiote, and the symbiote and the child will grow with each other instead of growing at like adjacent ages to each other. Like if you have a if you have like a host that is an like old man, but the symbiote is like seems younger. No, that's not. It's literally like direct age to age, like link, no separation. They will literally grow up with each other at the exact same space, at the exact same rate, and like time of everything. Like the symbiote elements will still be there, but due to the fusion of the egg and the symbiote seed, well, basically makes a perfect bond beyond what was normally thought to be the perfect bond. It's like a super perfect bond. And that basically happens, like, basically, Nut Lady ends up experiencing symptoms to what seemed to be similar to what Shinso was going through. However, it seems to be more human-related, also known as what happens whenever, human women get pregnant. She'll be going through that for a couple months. Izuku not really knowing what's going on. He starts to, think tank, and Carnage is actually helping him by finally speaking up about what's been going on inside of his body and why he's been so over freaking protective. It isn't just love in between two people. He is literally trying to protect his young. And, well, basically, his and Yu's young, basically. And, well, Izuku's like, he doesn't know what Carnage is talking about. Carnage is like, basically just gives the same explanation I just gave to you guys about what has, just recently happened. Turns out he was in the process of replicating. However, their minds were in a state to which neither of them were currently aware that they were in the middle of this process. It was almost like they were in a little bit of a lazy days state whenever the process was commencing. And so Carnage basically tells Izuku, basically he tells him that they were in a little bit of a lazy boy state sometime around the time whenever Carnage's body began to force him to start replicating as something Carnage believes to be something of a survival instinct. Basically, you have children to carry on your legacy. This is kind of the survival instinct, the carrying on of the legacy, the carrying of the torch. So basically, while they were in the state, Carnage's entire body, his entire being, just did this for him out of a split second instinct, like a survival instinct, to ensure that they carried on afterwards, thus forcing him to replicate. And the replication ended up becoming something similar to the seeds that formed Phage, Slasher, and Scream. And well, Carnage is like, this may or may not be also similar to how he was, dealt with, but, the symbiote seeds also confused Carnage a little because, they were literally like, not themselves during this period in which Carnage's body forced them to replicate him. And so, God knows what's actually going to come out. Basically, Carnage just saying about the fusion of the symbiote seed and the fertile egg. Yes, Carnage, during the entire thing with the whole sexual intercourse, Carnage was able to tell if the egg was fertile or not, and, well, her eggs are fertile. So, it's even a better reason why it was so easy and pretty much so natural for the seed and the egg to fuse together. And thus, now, Yu is going to be pregnant with their child, and their child is going to start out with their own symbiote that will grow with them as they grow, instead of having a slight age difference due to not being born with it, being apart and then bonding later. It won't be like that. It will literally be born with the symbiote, as a part of it, so they'll be aging at the same time in the same pace, same aging process. And basically, whenever Izuku hears this, he's like, he's gonna have to tell this to you. And, well, Izuku eventually rips off the band-aid and confesses what Carnage had just spilled, like the kind of beans like Carnage just spilled onto his table about what's actually going on. And so, well, basically, it's actually a while until there's any real signs, besides the usual, the sickness, the mood swings, but there's any sign that the baby, that the egg/seed is actually there. But eventually it does happen, and whenever that happens, Carnage is basically able to tell both Izuku and Yu that it shouldn't be too long until the baby is due. And so, with the remaining time Izuku has left before that happens, he decides to break the news to Yu, confess completely, even though Yu says that she, basically from everything they've been through together, and the way he always reacts whenever something happens, or something's going to happen that would ever endanger her, even though she's an adult and she says she can take care of herself, but Izuku still has that, split-second instinct of wanting to protect his lady love. And that's whenever Izuku remembers he never told, basically, if he has, I'm going to retcon it and say he hasn't. Basically, he basically just now remembers never told you about Toga. And now he has to spill the beans about that because he doesn't want to hide it any longer. He kind of feels dirty for, not telling her about that. Again, if he did earlier in the, what if? I'm retconning that. That is if he, actually did tell her in an earlier part. If that is so, I'm retconning. If not, don't have to worry about anything. So basically, he's fine with it really, because just means that Izuku's willing to be honest with her. And, honesty is a treasured thing, and, we want to be trying to lie to each other, showing that Izuku is willing to be honest, and that he cares about, his lady love. And as it's soon to be seen, Izuku opens up a little box with basically ring. And basically proposes to you, and you bet your sour little asses she says yes. And so, not long after, there's plans made, and not long after that, the wedding, and even the reception afterwards does happen. That's whenever Izuku gets remembered. Like, he reminds himself about his little future vision little thing that happened whenever he touched Yu's hand that one time. And he's remembering that, well, basically earlier that day, he had been doing some hero work, and basically he just now noticed that he forgot to have Carnage regress back into his skin, though he is in the leaner form, so nobody's terrified. And that's when Izuku basically just notices this is the moment, because Mountain Lady is apparently, she has also been doing some hero work of her own still to this day, and forgot to exchange her freaking hero costume for a freaking dress. And then they both remember, yeah, they never bought either a tux or a dress. This is kind of what they're stuck with. But hey, nothing's gonna hurt anything. Nothing's gonna hurt anything. In fact, they actually find that they prefer it this way. And then Izuku starts thinking, what about the writing at the bottom of the picture? How did that happen? Well, it turns out Mountain Lady, basically, she was going to say something, but that's whenever she remembered. She forgot a ring. So not only did they have to retake the picture, but this time Izuku actually gets the idea in his head that in order to basically commemorate it and forever stick it into, like, the image into the minds of each and every person, from this day onward, to basically have a little caption type thing at the bottom, just showing their love and affection for each other. So Izuku is just now noticing he was the one who decided for that to be there. Yeah, Izuku's feeling incredibly sappy. So much so that the Carnage actually pokes fun at Izuku, saying that he can actually taste the sap. And that it does not taste good. So just to stop before he humiliates himself and gets all sticky. And, Izuku is so like, TMI, Carnage TMI. And then Carnage is like, ah, Jesus, you're gonna have babies soon anyways, so don't you TMI me. Besides, I'm technically going to be its second father, so, yeah, I have all the right in the world to go all TMI on your ass. And that's whenever Izuku remembers he still hasn't thought of a name for the little kiddo. And then Mount Lady, she's also drawn a blank, basically asking Izuku, why the hell hasn't he thought of anything? Like, Mount Lady said that she's been trying to think of something, but, you know, shit just keeps on getting in the way, so she hasn't had, well, been able to make any time to focus on stuff like thinking of names for the baby. And that's whenever Izuku remembers, you know, and that little time thing that happened. The girl's name was apparently Ursa. And so Izuku decides that with this memory finally coming back into his head, that must mean that he is the one to say the baby's name. Basically, to just like throw the name out there so that it can be given to the baby whenever it's born. And Mount Lady is like, that name, it's perfect. Excuse me. And, well, not too long after this, finally having figured out what to name the damn kid, you know, Carnage is like, hey, you remember way back whenever you had that nightmare and Venom said something about a symbiote named Scorn? Well, I've been doing all sorts of researching every now and again because of how much that scatterbrains me that I don't seem to remember anything about any symbiote named Scorn. So I've just been searching around, and there is nothing. No symbiote named Scorn in the entire history of the world. So maybe the symbiote, their bond, the symbiote should be named Scorn. Maybe that's what Venom meant. Yes, that's what Father meant. That to say hi, as in that the symbiote, the child symbiote, Ursa's symbiote, shall be Scorn. And Izuku was just like, wow, holy shit, that actually, you know, considering the name of the child's gonna be Ursa, kind of sounds appropriate for the symbiote to be named Scorn. Plus, your name is Carnage, so it only fits that, you know, Carnage, then after Carnage comes Scorn, then again, before Carnage was Venom, so I guess, what does anybody expect? And, well, Izuku would talk this over with, you know, you, and you would be all for it. You know, giving the symbiote a name before, well, they even have to, you know, come across the problem of the symbiote's name. So, this is how Scorn comes to be in this What If. It's named Scorn because Carnage basically didn't find anything about a scorn symbiote anywhere where he was looking in between times where he had the time to look and the motivation to look, to be honest. And eventually, the day comes, and voila! A healthy baby girl. However, it seems to be very questionable in the doctor's minds whether they could really call the child healthy or not. You being, exhausted after just giving birth to, Ursa, basically not actually able to look at the child. She's too exhausted to even hold her head up, so, yeah, that's, no. Izuku basically goes over there to see what the hell all this hullabaloo is all about. And, well, safe to say Izuku and Carnage both see what the hullabaloo is all about. The purple markings seem to be rising from the skin as almost like some sort of putty around the surface of the child's body. However, this putty seems to be alive, flowing throughout basically the child's everything. But the child barely has energy really left to, coexist with the symbiote. So it's only like halfway showable what's actually going on. And this is when Izuku says, "So that's scorn. I see." Then Izuku would basically bring the claws out, and he would basically use this to rejuvenize their little baby girl by fully rejuvenizing her after such a stressful battle to even get out of the womb. How much of a freaking heart attack that was. And after doing this, the symbiote is finally able to cover, and the doctors start to freak out. But then Izuku's like, remember, number one hero, the symbiote hero, keyword symbiote, and then just points over to her. Well, what do you think happens after, So what do you think this is? And the doctors are just like, oh, that your child already has a symbiote of its own? And then Izuku would just be like, it's complicated. However, I think that things might actually get interesting. So yes, I'm leaving it on a cliffhanger. The life of Ursa, the host of Scorn, in this Ursa, the child of the number one pro hero, and, well, you, because I think, was Mount Lady 23, 24, 22 number hero? I don't know, but really, I could care less. To be honest with you people, I could care less. Basically, after all that, I'm leaving you off, and part 8 will be the rest until the end. Basically, everything up until the very end, where I leave off. So, only for now, but I do indeed lead off with this cliffhanger ending. The life of Ursa Takayama Midoriya has now just begun. See what I did there? Ursa Takayama Midoriya. It's Ursa, the first name. The middle name is Yu's last name, being Takayama. And the last name is the last name of the father, being Izuku Midoriya, so Midoriya. Ursa Takayama Midoriya. Bye. For now.